So what we're going to talk about today is how you can automatically get production data from Aries into Witson Plus. In general, just as the schematic is trying to show, Witson Plus can take data from any source. It can be a SQL database, an Access database, whether that's from Aries or some other tool. So a lot of the things we'll talk about today will be relevant for that too. The thing that I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to go through the script that basically does exactly what you see in the schematic right here. So that's basically to check if the well in your database, here in your Aries database, is already in Witson Plus. And if it is, it will just append production data to that well. And if it's not, it will actually create a new well and then add production data to that newly created well. So a very, very common exercise. And then in the end, in video number 2, if you just scroll further down on the screen, I'll show you how you can basically put this into a Windows scheduler, so a Windows task scheduler, such that you can run the script on a daily basis, such that your Witson Plus will be forever green when it comes to the production data that goes into the tool. So if I go over to Witson Plus, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're inside of the field that you would like to be in, and you would like to also make sure that you have a project that you would like to connect your Aries database to. So maybe you have that already created, or like in my scenario right here, I would like to create that field. So I'm going to call this an Aries connection database example, something like this. I'm going to click Save. When I've clicked Save, what I'm going to do next is to make sure that I get to my project ID. My project ID is this number here up in the URL. So you can see that at the top of the screen right here. So that's 774. And then I'm going to run into the script that's also provided in the manual documentation on this screen. So if I go into that particular script, you will see that it's only 100 lines long, which is amazing. What you should also emphasize is that for you to use the API, just like when you use the software in the front end, you need some authentication credentials. And when it comes to accessing the software from an API, you will need a client ID and a client secret, while your client will essentially be the part of your domain that's before wits.com. So if your company name was petronas.wits.com, it will be Petronas, that will be your client domain. These two things you need to get from my friend Jason. He can send it to you, so you just contact support@wits.com and we'll make sure to send you this. And again, this number right here needs to be the project ID that either you created from before or that you would like to reference on your project. Then the first line of code here that we'll go through is on line number 10. That is just establishing that connection, or basically initializing what we call a Witson Connect helper class. Okay, so what you'll see inside of the documentation as well, there's two call it pages of code provided. This main piece, and there's also a support piece, and that's what we call Witson Connect. And that's just something that initializes these helper functions that's being applied further down in the script. They also have some examples of other endpoints that kind of go beyond the scope of this example right here too. The second thing that you'll need to know is that you need to have a access token. Here is just an example of an access token right here. For each work session that you're doing, these tokens are available for 24 hours. So if you're just working and testing, make sure that you just comment this thing out and just hard write in the access token for that work session. And if you actually have it deployed to something that you're actually running daily, you can do basically the opposite. So you can request a new token every day, but try to use one token every day. So again, this will be how it would look like if you're in a testing mode, and this would be how it would look like if you're actually in production mode when we connect to the task schedule. We'll get to that later. Okay, I'm in testing mode, so I'll go through this and jump to the next part. The next part is just to go to the connection string right here. In this example, I'm actually using a real Aries database. It's converted to an Access database, but this could also be the SQL version of of the same database. The only thing that's relevant for me are the tables that I'll try to get out from Aries in this example. Then this line just establishes the connection with Aries. And then there are a couple of tables that's relevant in Aries for this exercise. The first one is the so-called AC underscore property table. That's typically where a lot of well header information is. So like the well name, API numbers, etc. In this example, I just want to make it simple. I would like to get the prop num and the associated well name from that table, and that's just done with this very simple little query. And you can do something similar if you want something more than just these two parameters from the property table. Once you're happy with that, you make sure that you go to and actually run this particular query, which would be down here. That will allow you to get all the wells in that particular Aries database. And then you would like to make sure that you map that towards the wells that you have in Witson Plus. And as you saw on my domain, there was no wells right now. So we should expect that every single well in this project actually is added to the database. And here it seems like there's over 100 wells that we'll actually go ahead and add to our database. So this piece of code is just going to create the well in Witson Plus if it's not there already. And if it's there already, it's just going to skip it. Okay, so that's just this part of code. After we've run this piece of code, we just need to get a new well list that's updated in Witson Plus, such that we can actually add appropriate production data to all of those wells. So I'm going to click this here. There's going to be 100 wells that we're going to add. It might take, let's say, a little bit of time, but I can probably do like this, and then it will skip through all of the cases as we see down here at the bottom. After that, we will add the production data, and the production data will come from the AC daily table. That's kind of the standard in Aries, which is this table right here. And the AC daily table with the production data can be different from company to company. So that's why it's important for you to actually note what columns and the order of the columns and what it actually is in the AC daily table that you like to get into Witson Plus. This is actually a really good example because the AC daily table has the prop num, the date, the oil, water, and gas rate, the tubing pressures, casing pressures, line pressures, and choke size. And that's typically the maybe gas lift rate is missing here of things that you typically get into Witson Plus, but that's about it. Maybe you have liquid levels there as well. So you just need to make sure that that you are aware of the order of those columns right there, such that you can map that appropriately in here when you're going to add production data. We've also added all of these wells in Witson Plus now. So if I go in here and refresh my project, we should see that I now have many wells in my project that has been updated in the Witson Plus software. So now I have tons and tons and tons of wells over there. Great. So from there, we're going to go to the next step of actually adding this production data from the AC daily table. So that's this piece over here. And here the mapping piece is the most important. So this piece right here, if you wonder what the order of the columns and stuff is in the actual AC daily table, what you could do is to run this particular part of code right here. You could either just uncomment it here, or you can go to the debug console, and I use something called VS Code. Maybe you use something else, and you can actually go and print this out if you wanted something specific from whatever table that you're asking for. So that could be helpful in case you would like to get the actual headers out. From here, we're going to just go down to the main piece of code where the action is. So I saw now actually I got the headers from an old table because I hadn't run the relevant query yet. So let's see see here. Yeah, we just need the cursor to be run first. There we go. And I'm gonna just run this piece of code in the software here, and here we get actually the columns of the ACE table that for our benefit. And in Witson Plus, these are kind of the different rate time options that we have. It's a date timestamp. It is oil, gas, water. It's potentially gauge pressures, the bottom hole gauge pressures, tubing, casing, gas lift rates, liquid levels, choke size, and line pressure. So you just need to make sure that whatever the orders of these guys are for each of the production rows are fetched here and then just pasted appropriately here in the payload. And then after that, it's just for the software to run the code. I'm going to untick that debug button, but now the software is essentially going and uploading all this production data for every single well on the domain. And if we wanted to go in and actually check that production data has been uploaded appropriately, we could just go into Witson Plus like this, and then we could check the production data being uploaded like that.